Good afternoon and welcome to the Soul Shop. I'm your host, Phyllis King. Today, my very special guest is Jovanka Ciares. You're fascinating because you're an artist. I mean, you're really creative. You are an entertainment executive. And now you're this integrative herbalist. You're an author, a wellness coach. I'm condensing everything you do. I'm very curious to know your secret, your ability to reinvent yourself and explore all these many facets of yourself. That's remarkable.
I don't know that if there's a secret. I'm a person with many passions, and some of them were inherited and some of them life brought them to me. It was in the path. Certainly, I come from a very musical family, and I believe I had a lot of talent. I love singing. I played many instruments as I grew up. So that came from I guess my heritage. But life also gave me what I like to call a smackdown. So I had diseases that were considered chronic, non-life-threatening in nature, and in the path towards finding healing, I found this amazing passion, this world of healthy living and wellness. And I decided to leave my corporate job. That was 10 years ago at this point. Go back to school, become an herbalist, a nutrition coach, become certified as an educator. And that's my new life passion.
Well, you make it sound so seamless, but a lot went on in there. I mean, do you mind sharing a little bit more about what you went through personally? It seems like it was kind of a wake-up call of sorts.
Oh, absolutely. I grew up in Puerto Rico, so I had what I believe an idyllic childhood. Close to the rainforest. We were 20 minutes away from the ocean. We were eating home-cooked meals and eating fruit from the neighbors' trees. And then I moved to New York City to build a life and a career, and I moved away from that lifestyle. So eventually my body gave me what I like to call a smackdown. And that was a blessing in disguise, because my smackdown wasn't a life-threatening disease. I had ulcers, I had IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. I had endometriosis, I had fibroids. Doctors and Western medicine, what we know today as allopathic medicine, didn't have solutions for me. They just simply said, well, take this pill when you feel uncomfortable and off you go. And as a young person, I was 25, 26 years old. I was like, this cannot be the answer. So I decided not only to reclaim the lifestyle that I grew up with, but also went elsewhere. And I traveled the world. I learned about traditional Chinese medicine, about Ayurveda, about Western herbalism. And then I started to incorporate those practices into my daily routine, mindfulness techniques, which we can talk about them as you wish. And my body slowly but steadily started to heal. And I realized that this information was not as readily available, especially to people that sounded and looked like me, as I wanted to. So I made it my life's mission to bring this knowledge and this information to communities that need it the most.
Incredible. And clearly you don't do anything halfway.
I certainly try not to. I am a student at heart, and I'm also a teacher at heart. So if you are a natural born teacher, you want to educate yourself. You want to make sure that what you're sharing with others is factual and is, more importantly, easy to implement, right? I'm not interested in bringing you this fancy terminology that then, a professional mother of two, a single mother of two may not be able to implement into her very busy lifestyle. My goal is to get people excited about making tiny changes that may not be overwhelming, but may make an enormous impact.
I love that. It's still, and you have so much energy. You make it sound easy, but I'm sure much of what you were going through was quite difficult. And to make these big changes in your career, a lot of people, that's a very scary thing to do. But did you just feel like you had no choice, or you were just really called and you let your creative energy take you where it wanted to go? Or
yeah, you have a good point. I mean, it's easier said than done, obviously. I think from the moment I realized this is something I would love to do, could I make a living doing this? Could I pay my bills? Because let's be serious, life also is about paying your bills and saving for retirement and all the real stuff in life. It took me 5 years to plan, not only make a plan that is financially sound, but also, emotionally sound. Because as you said, I had a very relatively lucrative, fancy sounding career in the entertainment industry. I was working with fancy people like Beyonce and JayZ, and so it sounds very sexy, but it was a real job. It was a real career. I was climbing the corporate ladder, and so it was a risk that I had to take. But at the end of the day, what helped me move the needle was realizing that you don't go to your deathbed thinking, oh, I just never tried that because it wasn't worth the risk. And my circumstances allowed me to take that risk, but it still took me 5 years of proper planning, proper training, and educating and get ready for that process. And that was 10 years ago.
Wow, amazing. So you said something really important about trying to get people to just take baby steps and move the needle a little bit. And is that one of the biggest misconceptions we have about moving toward better health, is that we have to do it all at once or make these gigantic changes all at once or big changes? Or what are the big stumbling blocks we hit when we try and think about our own wellness?
Yeah. I think it's a dual situation. In this modern society, we need instant gratification. We expect to do something for a day or a week and feel immediately better. And the second part of it, which is kind of like part of the same concept, is we wait until it's a little, relatively far in that, disease process. So when we have been in pain or discomfort for many, many months, sometimes many years, it did not take us overnight to get there. We need to start understanding that it's not going to take us overnight to get out of it. And I believe those are the two biggest, stumbling blocks that people have, is this need that people have to make things happen and feel better immediately. And then realizing that they want something to make them, they want a magical pill. They want to be able to take a pill and feel better immediately. And even allopathic medicine cannot promise that. We need to learn to give ourselves grace, patience, and part of the concept of self-care is to learn how to move through the process with ease.
Now, you had a frame of reference. You talked about your childhood and how you guys ate and all of that. What if you don't have a frame of reference and it's all brand new? How can you begin?
Wow, that is an incredibly good question, because it's true. There's so many people, especially in this new generation. If you were born past 1980, chances are, and you lived in a big modern society like the United States, chances are you grew up with a lot of TV dinners and a lot of fast food restaurants. So how do you learn to do better, right? To, first of all, what works for you, and then how to implement them. That is the main reason why I wrote this book, is for those people, is to recognize that there's a lot that we don't know, that there is a whole life that happened before you were born, where people of your ancestry, whether it is your grandparents, your great grandparents, maybe an aunt, maybe a little neighborhood grandmother, knew about the ways in which we ate back in the day, where we went to the market every week and found groceries that had different colors and different textures, and brought them home and learned how to cook them for their own benefit. So the goal is to educate yourself. Start by learning from the part of you that you love the most, your own ancestry, your own upbringing, and then pick the stuff that is easiest for you. So the stuff that you love the most. I always tell people, especially when it comes to diet, if you don't know where to start, but you love potatoes, great, let's start there. What other kinds of ways can you make potatoes to make them a little bit healthier, but just as palatable? What other types of potatoes can you use that might have different nutrients that you can also start incorporating into your diet? And that is, to me, one of the easiest ways to start in that wellness journey.
That's such amazing advice. I know for myself, I've always been amazed at how my palate and my body can be trained. That I think, oh, I only like this thing. It tastes a certain way, and I'm not going to be able to like this thing over here. But if I eat that thing over there enough, I'm going to like that too. So I think our mind plays such an important role. You agree?
And absolutely, and every single one of our senses also does. We change habits 21 to 28 days, every 21 to 28 days. Our taste buds change every 21 to 28 days. So you might feel like I will never like something. How about you try something that you already like and maybe try the little cousin of that thing that you absolutely love? So if you love strawberries, what other berries do you actually have never tried or don't believe that you can? But it's in the same family, right? It's a cousin of the strawberry, and I'm going to try it and see how I feel. Let me use my senses, my sense of touch, my sense of smell. I'm going to look at it. I'm truly going to commune with that food and taste it. Listen, there might be one that you go, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. That's okay. Put it aside. Try something else. I promise you, in a span of 3 to 4 weeks, you will find 6 or 7 things, if you try them honestly, that you will actually love.
So we really have to fall in love with exploring foods and having food be something that is part of our not life, not just something that we do in a moment when we're trying to fill our hunger or our mood swing or whatever.
That's exactly right. Absolutely.
So you have some amazing things I was reading on your web. I mean, you've got some incredible offerings and books. You have a 10-day self-study immune defense with herbs.
Yeah.
What is that?
So, as an herbalist, I, of course, believe in herbs wholeheartedly. Every single culture around the world has embraced plants as medicine at some point or another. So it is part of us as humans. And I love them because they're relatively easy to use. They're relatively safe. The vast majority of the ones that you see in markets have been well studied and have a lot of safety data behind them. And they help you almost instantly. Going back to that idea of that instant gratification, we take a little chamomile tea and we immediately feel our tummies feeling already a little bit better. Or we feel our minds sort of more focused and calm. And so there's, just like chamomile, there's dozens and dozens of them for every single action, every single thing that you're trying to attain. So this particular course I created in the middle of the pandemic, when my clients started coming to me saying, how can I protect my immunity, increase my immunity, balance my life so that I can prevent fill in the blank. It might be the big C, but it could be the cold and the flu, or it could be just strengthening my system so that I could be strong and healthy for decades to come. So I created this particular course, which is self-study, and people can actually learn what kind of foods can you use to strengthen your immunity, what kind of supplements, what kind of herbs, mindfulness techniques that will help you calm and center yourself so that you can strengthen your immune response.
Well, and you said something in your TEDx video I thought was so powerful, and it was really talking about it's not just food that we digest, but emotions and thoughts.
So true and so powerful. I mean, we feed our minds tens of thousands of thoughts every single day. A lot of them are repeated thoughts. And a lot of them are negative. For whatever reason, we tend to hold on to the negative ones. That might be a mechanism of protection. At first, if you were, chased by a bear, you will remember that every single day in a tiny little micro thought. But the problem is that in this modern society, we are repeating the fight that we have with our spouse, our boss screaming at us, the road rage circumstance that happened on your way to work. And that is what, at the end of the day, causes a reaction in the body. Too much of that stress hormones, testosterone, adrenaline, cortisol, running through your veins for too many hours, too many days in a row, eventually will weaken your immune response.
So, and in your coaching and your teaching and your books, I imagine you address that with your clients in some way. Do you help them up level that part of how they're relating to life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a study conducted several years ago that showed that up to 70% of all doctors' visits in the United States alone are related to stress issues. So you can go into the doctor because you got a hive, or you might have, constipation or stomach issues, or perhaps you're just feeling, really you cannot sleep. And at the end of the day, you can trace all of those back to stress responses.
Mhm.
So most of the clients that come to me for either hormonal imbalances, for digestive issues, and all of them for stress issues. So it's critical that as a coach, you support people in the process of learning using mindfulness techniques to help people restore a sense of calm and peace and learn how to reduce these stressors in life.
Yes. Well, and another thing caught my eye from your website. Don't mean to put you on the spot here, but where is it? I guess you do some specific coaching around getting off sugar. Why do we need to do that? And is that like a big need, or what's up with sugar?
Yeah. I believe that sugar is the 21st century version of tobacco. We will find out sooner or later how bad it is. But study after study show us that we are addicted to the thing, right? We consume sometimes 8 to 10 times the amount that we need to consume every single day. We know that sugar causes an inflammatory response, an acidic response in the body, and that is the catalyst of viruses and bacteria propagating in our system. We also know that things like cancerous cells love sugar. So we need to learn in a very effective but healthy way how to consume healthy sugars, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of healthy carbohydrates and fruit that will translate to sugar in the body that are absolutely critical for our health. So it's not just about going keto or going, whatever it is, the new fat diet that we're talking about. It's more than anything about how to consume healthy sugars and get rid of the other ones while we try to control and eventually reduce our sugar cravings.
I don't want you to have to talk about your entire offering and program, but is it the refined sugars and things we're trying to stay away from, or process? What's one thing we can start with to try and diminish or change our sugar intake?
Yeah, one of the things in my course is called Get Off Sugar.
I love that.
One of the things in the course is using herbs, using plants to help you reduce sugar cravings. One of the ones that I absolutely love is ginger. I talk about it ad nauseum because we know how powerful it is. Mm-hmm. Ginger, and in combination with things like cinnamon, could be very powerful to help you reduce sugar cravings in a short term and eventually in the long term.
Oh, now when you're teaching people about herbs and plants and things, are these things we can usually get at the grocery store or in health food store? Is it hard to adopt these new practices?
Yeah, that's a good question. The vast majority of the ones that I recommend to people are things that you might be familiar with, have heard of before, or can easily find in the supermarket. There might be some others that may require you to go to a health food store or buy them online at a specialty store like iHerb. It's one that I absolutely love. And then there might be others, not necessarily in the course, but when I work with people one-on-one, there might be others that I might recommend to people that might not be easy for you to find because they are not necessarily designed for the average consumer. They need to be used by somebody that know exactly how to use them, in which quantity and in which form.
Well, they're not drugs, but they definitely influence how we feel. So you have a lot of different things and ways you're trying to help people. You have books, you have a bundle, you have a 3-week ultimate detox challenge. Something I can't read my own handwriting. It's part of your ebook bundle. And then you have a new book coming out, Reclaiming Wellness. But it seems like that bundle would be really good for folks. Tell them what that is.
Yeah, that bundle is relatively inexpensive. It's like $20 if I remember correctly, or $25. And it's an ebook. People get it immediately in their inboxes, in their email inboxes. And it just gives you a lot of recipes, all of them plant-based, and a 21-day food-based cleanse. Mm-hmm. I absolutely believe that we need to help our detoxification organs, support them with foods and with systems that help us reduce the amount of toxic pollution in our bodies and eliminate appropriately.
Well, and I think something like this for people who are beginners, I think
Yes.
having products like this to kind of, they can kind of do it on their own at first, because let's face it, you're kind of a powerhouse. So they might be a little intimidated or think they want
Mhm.
to please you or something, who knows, but it seems like it would be, these products are really a nice introduction
Yeah.
to what they can start doing right away until they get the courage. Do you have an ideal client? I mean, do you get beginners, or is ever people who are already well on their way, or who do you have an ideal client? How does that work for you?
More than an ideal client, the people that tend to gravitate towards my offerings tend to be women, tend to be over the age of 30 or 35. These are people at all stages of health and wellness. Some people say, I just lost a lot of weight and I need to, and my body seems to be going through changes that I'm not familiar with. Can you help address them and help me navigate through this? I also get a lot of people that might be struggling with life-threatening diseases, cancer
Oh my
patients that
goodness.
are already in treatment and need some support with holistic practices that help them balance and communicate properly with their practitioner so that they can do, it's like almost like a 1-2 punch. Yes, I'm going to continue to use Western medicine because there's a lot of validity in some of these treatments, but I'm going to try to balance the rest of my life, how to eat better, how to manage my stress and what I'm going through emotionally, with the use of somebody that can be a support, a cheerleader, and sort of
Hmm.
like hand hold me through the process.
Well, my experience with medical doctors who are useful is many of them don't know a lot about nutrition. So
Mm.
I am wondering if that is something that you look at in terms of partnering with these practitioners and how open they are to it.
Yeah, it's hit and miss. There's a lot of practitioners that are not interested. I don't necessarily blame them. I believe that the system has been designed to not allow them in their training to learn about nutrition, but I think it's a missed opportunity because they are the experts in the human
Mhm.
body, and so
Mhm.
they should be the experts on what works well in terms of nutrition. I mean, we cannot live without food for more than 3 to 4 weeks. So it's almost like, I always talk to people about this analogy. If you buy a Maserati and you take it to an expert mechanic and you tell them, can you recommend me the best oil and the best treatment to keep my Maserati healthy? And the mechanic says, I don't know, just any kind of whatever. Just
Yeah.
you consider him a charlatan and move on.
Mhm.
And somehow in this society, we have made peace with the fact that doctors, who are the experts in this machine that we call a body, don't know, and that is acceptable to us, and that needs to change, and it needs to be a collective effort. If we as patients go to our providers and tell them, I need you to be a partner in this healing journey, I need you to learn and know and educate yourself and be curious about what works and what doesn't work for the human body, in a matter of one generation we can change the system.
Well, I hope so. I mean, you're certainly on a mission. If anybody can do it, I would think it would be you. And so and it seems like you also, your processes are to help people who have busy lives, try and make it accessible and processes that are efficient.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is from my own experience, but from the experience that I see from clients. Again, I get a lot of professional women, single mothers, women that are out there in the world giving a lot of themselves. They don't have extra time to
Mhm.
expect them to, make it 1 hour meal every single day, or
Mhm.
to, get away from their routine to work out for 90 minutes a day. That is not sustainable. So
Mhm.
how can I support these mothers, these professionals, men and women, to make tiny little changes? Can you give me half an hour every day? How can you reclaim that time to find the one practice that you would want to incorporate and keep it for a month or two until it's fully embedded into your daily routine before you move on to the next one?
Yes. Well, and so we've talked about a couple of your different books here. And you have a new one coming out, Reclaiming Wellness. When is that due out?
That should be out right now, and it's available everywhere books are sold.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I so appreciate all this you're doing for everyone, but you seem to have fun too. You're still doing music and all of
You know,
that.
I don't do music that much anymore, sadly. Now I just, I'm just a listener and I enjoy it. My partner is still in the music industry, so I get a lot through osmosis through him. But what I do for fun, I'm a dancer. I love dancing, so I still dance a lot of salsa, uh, and uh, and I get outside as much as I can. I happen to live in a city that is sunny most days out of the year. So
Mhm.
I get to enjoy gardening. I go outside. I have a kitty too. So this is one of these animals that likes to go outside. So I spend time with him outside. And between nature and dancing, those are my go-to enjoyable things to
Well, it just seems like you were born as a creative essence, and then
do.
you have this healing property, and you have so much drive and determination to make a difference for people. It's really lovely. What do you want to share with the readers and viewers that we haven't touched on?
Yeah. I wanted to mention that the book Reclaiming Wellness talks a lot about some of the stuff that we've been talking about for the last however many minutes. But one of the things that I always recommend people, whether it is by picking up a copy of the book or listening to an interview or reading an interview like the one that we're conducting right now, or whatever else it is that you want to do, you have to remember that when you do that, you are honoring the people that came before you, that sacrificed so much to get you to where you are today. You honoring this amazing body, this amazing machine we call a body that's going to carry you as the only home you have to live in. And you will eventually honor the people that come after you, that will hopefully get to learn from you, and you'll be passing on this knowledge for their own well-being.
Oh, that is beautiful. What an abundant and joyful perspective. Well, Jovanka Ciares, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure.
So my pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for having me.